like to welcome you to this presentation of Plymouth Profiles. Plymouth Profiles is our opportunity to meet with people from the greater Plymouth community that are having an impact within our town and our area. And today we're delighted to have someone from the Plymouth Independent, which is the local online newspaper. And we're delighted to have Kelly Pei. Kelly, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here.
So Kelly, tell us a little bit about you, people that may not have met you. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
Okay, so let's see. I was born in Worcester. Stayed there until I was a teenager, and then moved to Wareham. Went to Wareham High, went to Bridgewater State, got my master's at Bridgewater, and then settled in Lakeville, where I had 2 children, and then eventually moved here to Plymouth.
Good. And once you get out of school and got your master's, what's some of the work that you did?
So, you know, nobody wakes up and says, hey, I want to be in a fundraiser and join a nonprofit, and that's just happens to be what I did. I started my career with the American Heart Association with the Get With the Guidelines program, and then went in to be the senior director for fundraising. And then from there, I've worked at the American Red Cross. I was there for a few years. I worked for the American Diabetes Association. I worked for JDRF, and I worked for, and now for the Plymouth Independent.
What's JDRF?
That's Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation.
So your prior nonprofits were really medical related. So
right.
How did you transition from the medical to a newspaper?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. When I was the vice president for the American Diabetes Association, and I ran the whole east side of the country. And then my mom got sick. She was diagnosed with cancer, and I left my job and took care of her. Fulfilled her punch list. You know, we'd had a list of things that she wanted to do before she passed. She lived about 10 months. And during that time, I just realized I don't want to be on planes, trains, and automobiles anymore. And I want to do something a little bit more local that had an impact in the community that I live in. So I started looking locally, and this position came up. And yes, it's not medically related, but it's definitely something that I'm passionate about. So it just was a win-win. It was a win for them, I think, because they got somebody who is a seasoned fundraiser, and it was a win for me because I don't even have to leave Plymouth. I stay right here in Plymouth, so it's really good. Yeah.
So previously on our show, we have interviewed Mark Pothier when he was the editor, and now David, who's your current editor. But for people that maybe didn't see the prior presentations, tell us a little bit about Plymouth Independent. What is it?
So we are an online digital newspaper that is a 501(c). So we are nonprofit. We do not charge anything. It is a free subscription, and it's really telling stories about Plymouth. It doesn't go beyond Plymouth. It tells all local stories about Plymouth. The publications go out at least like 5 or 6 times a week. We have over 90,000 individual readers every month. So it is growing like crazy. And I think that, you know, we didn't have anything here for so long that, you know, you didn't even realize just how much information, you know, we are missing as residents of Plymouth. So we're now becoming an educated Plymouth, and, you know, we are holding people accountable. You know, our politicians, we're talking about our businesses, we're really spreading the word about what's happening in the town of Plymouth. And I think people realized just how much of a news desert we were before we came in. We're 2.5 years old, and we have, like I said, 90,000 individual readers. It's incredible. It's booming. So
I grew up in Kingston, but moved to Plymouth in 1977, so next year will be 50 years. And I've certainly seen a lot of change when it comes to the news. And you know, early on, it was the Old Clime Memorial, but also the Brockton Enterprise and the Patriot Ledger all contain stories about Plymouth.
right.
And over the years, it changed. And now, really, the Independent is my go-to source for information, not only for the daily lead stories, but for other things as well, including obituaries, unfortunately. But you report a lot of different things which are helpful.
Right. Yeah, it's my go-to too. You know, I mean, like I said, I live here in Plymouth. I moved here in 2014, And I didn't even know all the things that were going on. And one day we were kind of flipping through some of the stories, and I said, "Oh, they're having a Edgar Allan Poe reading down at the Hedge House," and we went. And "Oh, they're having a concert over," and we went. And so it's it becomes our source of information. So.
Now, who else is there with you at the Plymouth Independent?
For fundraising?
For just generally with the staff. I
So-
mentioned the editor, David.
Yep. So we have David. We have 3 journalists right now, and they're hiring a 4th.
Okay.
So there'll be a staff of 5 plus me in development.
And the other journalists are Fred and...
Fred and Andrea. So it's
Andrea.
Andrea Estes, Fred Tice,
yeah.
Mark Pothier, and then of course David Kidwell. So which we are so blessed to have on. He's great. Yeah. He's really great.
He certainly has quite a background that
Yes, he does.
lends itself well. So let's talk a little bit about being a fundraiser. What does that mean to be a fundraiser?
It's a lot of relationship building. It's a lot of bridging the gap of, becoming that philanthropic organization that people want to see sustained, and helping them really put their money behind something that's really important to them. I think we have educated consumers now, meaning people want to know where your dollar goes, and they want to give to an organization that is one that's growing and thriving and has an impact in their own community. So, so we're working with individual donors who see the importance of the Plymouth Independent, in addition to working with businesses. I mean, businesses are sponsoring things that we're doing. They like the fact that their logo is being seen by those 90,000 individual monthly readers. And, so companies and individuals are really how we raise our money. Again, 100% nonprofit. We are donor driven, so we would not exist without our donors. And we're lucky in the fact that people understand just how important it is to have a news source right here in your own backyard.
So prior to your participation at the Independent, when it first started, I was one person that was financially supporting the Independent, but I'm also an elected official. And then a story came out in another online publication complaining about public officials and their involvement in supporting the journalism. So I backed off, but do you see any concerns about that, or are there any issues when you're doing the fundraising in terms of whether there are any people or groups, organizations that maybe wouldn't be appropriate as a donor?
Well, the integrity of the Plymouth Independent is, highest level. I mean, we wouldn't take anything that if there was a perception that there was any kind of influence on editorial content, we wouldn't be partnering with an organization or an individual like that. So, and politicians, we don't take dollars from politicians. I think we had, one politician who was giving $20 or something like a month, and that even stopped. So we try to make sure that integrity is, the utmost important thing, that's out there. Perception is reality. And, if people have that perception that the stories aren't real or being influenced one way or another, there goes the credibility of your paper. So we do not take money from politicians or...
And when you say politician, how would you define a politician?
Even locally, like a local
Elected official.
Elected official, right. People who sit on the boards, we do not take money from them. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to go a little further than that. We used to have anonymous donors because there are a lot of people who love to donate but don't want their name in lights, don't want a brick on the building, or whatever. And we recently met with the board of directors and decided wholeheartedly that we're no longer going to accept anonymous donors. So we're going to be listing every donor so that will eliminate any, thoughts or perceptions of, somebody having an influence or an impact on what we print.
So in my world as a lawyer, we have ethical responsibilities to avoid impropriety. But if you're a judge, the standard is even higher, and it's the appearance of impropriety. And I think that's what I'm hearing you say, is that really the paper doesn't even want, even if it's proper, they don't want the appearance that it might be improper.
Right. Right.
And
Like I said, the integrity of the paper is of the highest level. So
now you mentioned the board. So what's the organization of the paper? You mentioned editor and journalists, and you're there, but what's the structure with this board?
We have a board of directors. I mean, we have a president, we have a treasurer, and then we have volunteers. That really, I want to say, there's still the founding individuals on the board that they got together Sunday at the barn over in Chiltonville and really put this group of people together that were very passionate about educating Plymouth, and they kind of formed this board of directors, and they are all there still today. So, so it's pretty
And who are
good.
some of the people that are serving either as president or treasurer? Or
So, I mean, it's public. You can see it on the website. But Darice Wareham is our board president. And she has a history in journalism and editing and marketing and I think almost everything else. And then we have Patrick Flaherty, who is our treasurer. And then, of course, Mark Pothier was the editor, and now he's a journalist, so he is not on the board. And we have a couple of other key folks who are part of our board as well. I mean, I can list them if you want.
No, that's
sure,
helpful, yeah. And I certainly know Patrick Flaherty, who was formerly on the select board and involved in other organizations. So, fundraising, tell us about what does it mean to be a fundraiser at Plymouth Independent?
It's all about relationships. It's going out there, first of all, talking to our supporters and our donors right off the bat, hit the ground running, meeting some of the key people who have really helped build the foundation of the Plymouth Independent, and talking to them about what's important, what they would like to see, and really making sure that they understand just how much we appreciate them as donors, and how important it is that we continue to thrive. So working again with corporations and through sponsorships and being able to partner with them, they put their logo on the website and things like that. But it's really about being the backbone and making sure that this is a sustainable organization long into the future. We have an endowment. We have a $1 million endowment that a very generous donor is matching. So when we are having these conversations with individuals about, potentially having a high level donation, it can be matched 100%. So we can eventually, match that $1 million endowment and continue to grow. It means being a fundraiser in an organization that is, not, my past is large, organizations that have predetermined, goals and events and things like that. Coming into the Plymouth Independent, they didn't have any of that. So, trying to come up with new strategic ways to make sure we're continually raising money has kind of been, my focus since I started back in October. And one of those things is we're planning a gala. We're planning a 300-person gala in September. Again, from scratch. It's never been done before, so I have no history to compare it to. But it should be wonderful, and it is a fundraiser to help support the Plymouth Independent.
So, do you get any support from outside of Plymouth? I mean, are there corporations or other groups that support local media and would want to see it thrive?
Not so much corporations, but we do have donors that are from all over. I mean, I just had a conversation with a gentleman from Toronto, but he has a summer home here.
Right.
So,
Sure.
People have interest.
So they want the news.
Right. So they
Right.
want the news. But so people have interest in making sure that, that Plymouth stays educated and informed, but not really companies. I would say mostly the corporate partners are local. They're all
businesses.
local businesses, yeah.
And are there any grants available for grant writing?
Yeah, we have a couple of grants that have come through. One of them is the Priscilla Playhouse. This is the second year we've received a grant from them. We work with another organization called Catalyst, and they're really consultants. And there's an individual that I work with in Catalyst that helps, kind of do the research on some foundations and does all the exploration, does all the submitting and all that kind of stuff. So we've had a few, not large, but we've had a few like smaller, like 1,500, 2,500 kind of thing, small grants.
Are there other online newspapers in the United States?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, since like 2000, I think we've lost something like 2,100 newspapers across the country, and smaller online digital newspapers are popping up to fill that void. And it's just, but there are news deserts still everywhere. One of the scary things is that there are like 5 major organizations that own the majority of all of the newspapers. So when you talk about power, I mean, those 5 organizations are the ones that are looking at the news that's going in these newspapers. So, so what we're doing, I think, is kind of trending right now, is doing these online newspapers. There are a couple of towns that have reached out to us to find out, how'd you do it? How did you get people involved? How are you getting corporate partners? How are you getting donors? Like, how are you doing it? So that's been very interesting, because me being brand new in this role, and well, since October, but in this industry and in this space, to having people call me and ask me my advice on how I'm doing this is kind of like, wow, it's really important what we're doing. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. My experience in that is Plymouth is the only town in the Commonwealth that has a hybrid town meeting that's been approved by the legislature. Mm-hmm. And so even though I don't consider myself an expert, I do have experience, and so I've been getting calls, like you're getting calls. Yeah. You field them, you do the best you can, and try and support them.
I know. It's, and again, it comes down to, passionate people, people with integrity, and building those relationships, in the community, and really also, positioning yourself as a resource. I consider what we're doing as a service to the town, and really being a resource for the town. And me, personally, it's, again, being able to act as a bridge for those people who have philanthropic needs, that they want to support something like this.
So let's talk about the gala. What's the date?
Oh, September 26th.
Okay.
So yes.
What day of the week is that?
That is a Saturday evening,
okay.
And it's going to be wonderful. We have a lovely couple. They are a donor that have graciously offered their property. So it's at a private estate. It's
in Plymouth?
Yeah, in Plymouth. It's Ed and Ailey Gates, so it's 158 Sandwich Street. And beautiful, beautiful property. And we're trying to keep all the business local, so, where we're getting our tent, and, who we're using, for the florist, and, all of that kind of stuff. We're trying to keep it all local business people. But it's going to be great. And I think half of the tables are already gone, and they haven't even been put for sale yet. Mm-hmm. We haven't even really the invitations aren't even going out until like Monday. So so the word is spreading, and people want to attend and be part of it. How big are
the tables?
The tables, we have 30 tables of 10. We have an auctioneer he's in New York, but he's from London, and I've used him in the past. He's wonderful. His name is Harry Osala. We have our keynote speaker is Marty Barron from the Globe and from the Washington Post. And then, of course, we have Robbie Robinson, who was a journalist on the Globe who broke the story for Spotlight, the movie Spotlight. He was played by Michael Keaton. So he's going to be part of the speaking program. And it's going to be great.
And so people can only attend if they buy a table, or? If
they buy a table and tickets. Okay. So the tables, we have the VIP tables, they get early entrance, they get, to look at some of the auction items way ahead of time. They'll, they get preferred seating. Those tables are $4,000, and then the rest of the tables are $2,500. And then individual tickets, we are only having maybe 2 or 3 tables with individual tickets, because people are more interested in buying tables, because it's going to be a wonderful evening for friends and family. But the individual tickets are $250 a piece. So, yeah. Oh, and then I should mention too that we have the Rat Pack, the Strictly Sinatra band, Michael Dutra and his Rat Pack. Their music, I think they have like 11 or 13 people in their whole band, so it's going to be quite the show. He sounds, looks, walks, talks just like Frank Sinatra, so he's really great.
And if people wanted to get more information about the gala, how would they do that?
Well, we have a website. It's called pi-gala.org. They can go to the Plymouth Independent, or they can reach out to me directly. So my email is on the website. My email is on the newspaper website. It's on the gala website. It's on the invitations. So people can reach out to me directly.
So you mentioned that there's an auction. What's that?
Oh, there's two. Actually, we have a silent auction. I'm like, but wait, there's more. We have a silent auction and we have a live auction. So the silent auction, we have a lot of items that have been donated from a lot of the local businesses. We have high-end things like a beautiful Shinola watch. That's part of the silent auction. We have a house on the beach that is 3 bedrooms. That's part of the silent auction.
So what, a week at the house?
A week at the house in, the beginning of the summer or the end of the summer. We have all different kinds, lots of gift certificates, facials and, high-end things, just a bunch of stuff. We have a group of women that have really been pounding the pavement trying to get some of these items. A couple of hotel stays. We've got like Fairmont Copley Plaza for the weekend. It's, a lot of really great items. And then the live auctions are, we have a trip to Tuscany for 8 with a private chef for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, with all of your tours are included. We have a trip for 6 to Mykonos, Greece. We have a really cool donated auction item to Ottawa, Canada, where you sleep with the wolves. So it's basically this glass, house kind of thing where you are totally exposed to all the animals in the wilderness, and then you're there for a couple of days, and then you have a couple of days in a castle. The trips and the live auction items are phenomenal. So yeah.
That sounds pretty different from the local auctions that we've attended here.
I know. Well, that was the point, right? Let's really make it stand out.
So, are there any fundraising goals that you've set?
So, you mean for the gala? Yeah, so for the gala, we're trying to hit 350,000.
Okay.
That is a goal. It is a good number, but this is our first time doing this event. But I can tell you, I feel really good about where we are and where we have left to go. So I think it's going to be an ongoing event for the Plymouth Independent. I think it's going to be successful, not only monetarily, but really building and bringing the community together, to support the Plymouth Independent. So I think it's going to be the event to be seen in coming, that people are going to want to go to every year.
So do the proceeds go to the endowment or current expenses? How do you use that? So
the proceeds probably will go to the sustaining, our operational cost. We have, it's almost 100% of every dollar goes directly to journalism and the Plymouth Independent. It's, like I said, we're a nonprofit, which is coming from nonprofit. That is an amazing thing. Usually it's, 80% of every dollar goes to the, organization, and to be able to say that we're almost at 100% of every dollar, it's like 99% of every dollar goes directly back to journalism, is pretty impressive.
And does the Plymouth Independent have any bricks and mortar? Are there offices?
Yeah, we have an office. It's over on Richards Road. There's the treasurer has his own business, and he has the other side of the building was specifically for the Plymouth Independent. That's where the journalists will go and meet and what have you. We have a board room in there. It's great to be able to have a brick and mortar to bring donors in, if you want to have a conversation or a planning meeting or what have you. So there's never anybody in it because they're journalists, so they're always out on the road doing their whatever they do. And then, of course, I'm always out on the road also, so it's usually pretty empty. So
you mentioned the gala fundraising goals. How about overall fundraising goals for Plymouth Independent?
Well, I think for this year, we're looking to raise altogether about $900,000. I think the budgets are right around 860 to 900 in there, and I would be thrilled with 900. But again, in order to continue to grow, we're going to need to add new journalists, and so that number will get bigger and bigger every year. It's been very interesting for me. So going out and having conversations with individuals, when I ask them, what would you like to see? A lot of people talk about our youth. They talk about our scores at the football game. They talk about the high school. They talk about like what's going on. What are the art programs for the youth and things like that.
Something for everybody. Yeah.
Something for, and we don't necessarily do that yet because we don't have the bandwidth. So, being able to hire a new journalist to be able to focus on stuff like that will do a couple of things. One is it'll answer that question of how come you're not covering the youth, and the second thing is hopefully it will expand our readership because the 25 to 45 year olds, those aren't the people that are reading the Plymouth Independent, and we're hoping to get more into that age group. And I think by reporting out on the things that they care about and that they're interested, their children, seeing their kids' names in the paper is a pretty it's a pretty nice thing, and so hopefully we'll be able to expand that readership.
So if someone is watching, just tuned in, didn't hear the whole presentation, what's the one takeaway you'd want people to remember?
Just remember that, again, we are a resource for Plymouth. An educated Plymouth is a stronger Plymouth, and that we are reporting out on the news. I have zero control over editorial content. That is not any part of my job. And just know that, the reporters and the team operate within the highest integrity and really report out on the news.
Kelly, if you're not doing Plymouth Independent fundraising, what do you do in your spare time?
What do I do? I am a cyclist. I am a cook. I hate yard work, so anything but that. So, yeah, I'm pretty active, or I'm down at the beach. I live right here in Plymouth, so, I'm always at Long Beach and, exploring my town.
So you mentioned that people can look at the paper to get information, but what is your email address?
It's kpetti@plymouthandependent.org.
Is there a number people could call?
It would be you know what? Isn't that a good question? I don't even know the number.
Okay.
I use my own personal cell phone.
All right, but the people can call the number for the Plymouth Independent.
Yeah, they can call the number for the Plymouth Independent. They can also write in. So if you go to the Plymouth Independent, you'll see it'll say your view or letters to the editor and things like that. So you can write in.
And what's the Plymouth Independent website address?
It's plymouthindependent.org.
Good.
Yeah.
Kelly Petti, thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. That was very nice.
Very nice.
Please stay tuned. We have another guest joining us again from Plymouth, involved, among other things, in tourism, kind of segueing from the Plymouth Independent to one of our biggest businesses in the town of Plymouth. Please stay with us. Thank you. Once again, welcome to this portion of our presentation, Plymouth Profiles, where we have an opportunity to meet with people from the greater Plymouth area. And delighted to have with us today Keiko Orrall. Keiko, welcome.
So happy to be here.
So
Thanks for having
tell
me.
us a little bit about your background. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
Well, I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
And I found my way to Massachusetts through going to college. I went to Smith College out in western Massachusetts, and that's where I met my husband. My husband is 5 generations Plymouth County, and we live in Lakeville. So
And did he go to Smith?
he went to UMass. He
Oh,
went to
okay.
UMass Amherst.
Right. And is Smith now co-ed?
Smith is single sex.
Single sex,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was when I was looking at colleges. So you met and you settled here?
Well, we lived in Ohio. We lived in Cincinnati for a while, and we've been here back in Massachusetts for over 25 years.
Okay.
28 years, yeah.
And since you're back here, well, even before that, when you first got out of school, what are some of the things you did in the way of work?
I was a teacher. I was a public school teacher. I taught 5th grade and 2nd grade, and I have 2 grown kids. I have 3 grandbabies, and they call me Grandy. Mm-hmm. So when people ask me, "What are your hobbies?" I say, "Well, I like to be a Grandy, and I like granding,
Yeah.
and I like gardening, granding and gardening."
It's my daughter-in-law is a fifth grade teacher. My daughter is a kindergarten moderate special needs teacher, and I used to serve on the school committee. So I
Nice.
value education and
Nice.
teachers.
My parents were both public school teachers, and my brother is a superintendent in Ohio, and
Same
So-
thing. It's great.
public, yeah.
It's important.
Yep.
What did you do after you finished teaching?
Well, I was at home with my kids,
Yeah.
and then I got involved in politics a little bit later in life, and I was a state representative. I was elected for Lakeville, Middleborough, Berkeley, and Taunton. I was active on my finance committee in Lakeville, and so in 2011 I was elected to the general court and served for 4 terms. So total of 7 years. I came in a special election.
So what prompted you to go from being at home with your children to running for state rep?
Wanting to be a part of making a change, wanting our voices to be heard, and just wanting to be an advocate, be it for my community. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed being a part of the process of making laws, and I think that as far as the district that I'm in, Massasoit State Park is in our district. When I went into the legislature, it was closed. That was a big push for me to say it's something that needs to be opened. It's a gem for the
Where is it?
region. It's in East Taunton on the Lakeville line, and it had been closed during the economic downturn, and it was a real push to get it open. But if people want to camp there now, it is open. It is remodeled. The beach has been refurbished. It was a team effort with with DCR and the local delegation.
Sure.
So, as all things are in the political scene in Massachusetts, it has to be a team effort.
Yeah. So I know the answer to this question I'm going to ask you. So once you left as a state rep for your district, who succeeded you?
Well, my husband. My husband he was actually the town moderator at one point, and he was also involved in the finance committee. He's a professional engineer, he's a civil engineer, and he had been working under the former Governor Baker's administration as the chief engineer for DCR, and really was, when I decided that I was going to vacate the seat, he decided that he was going to run.
Yeah.
So he's currently in office, and he's the chairman of the Cranberry Commission for the House, Cranberry Oversight Commission, and he also works with the Food Security Commission as a co-chair with Representative Hannah Kane.
So how many terms has he been serving?
He is in his 4th term. He'll be going into his 5th term. So he's actually served longer than I have.
Sure.
Yeah. And then after that, after I was a state representative, I was the executive director for the statewide Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism. And that was overseeing tourism and promoting Massachusetts to the world. And that was a very interesting and exciting opportunity to see all the different places that Massachusetts has to offer. And people would always say, well, what's the best part of Massachusetts? Where are you going to go? And of course, as the statewide director, you can't say, well, this is my favorite. But now that I'm here in Plymouth, I can totally say, oh, Plymouth County.
Yeah.
Of course, Plymouth County is where you should come. That's my favorite. I live here.
Right.
Of course it's the best.
How does going back to when you were the state director, how does Massachusetts compare to other states when it comes to tourism and tourism promotion?
I would say we're in the top 10, top 15.
Okay.
We're in the top.
Yeah.
And we have our assets are unbeatable. I mean, we have the history, we have the arts, we have culture, we have technology, we have, Massachusetts has a lot of firsts. And as we've seen with FIFA, we have the opportunity to invite people from all over the world to come to Massachusetts. And I know from being in that position that people really do enjoy visiting our state. And so my effort is to bring some of those folks that are coming into Boston down a little further south to see where history began. 1620, where history began. And that's just the beginning. There's so much more to explore.
And tourism probably took a little bit of a downturn during COVID.
It did.
And so what do you see now that we're out of COVID?
Well, I see that during COVID, of course,
Worldwide,
the industry took a very heavy hit, and I think it reiterated in people's minds the importance of going out to restaurants and going to shows. And if you think back to that time period, it was like such a feeling of despair of like not being able to go to games, not being able to go to the, just singing or just you couldn't do those types of things because we didn't know where the pandemic was headed. And I think that because we've come through that and now we're on the flip side, people really, they want to get back to normal. Sure. And we are. We're back to normal. I think as you look at what's happening in Boston this summer and across Massachusetts with FIFA, with Sail Boston, with the various things that are happening, people are coming back, and we're seeing that activity. We're seeing those tourism numbers come back. We want to see them come back stronger in Plymouth. I know that last year it wasn't as strong of a year, and so we are actively promoting on WCVB Channel 5. We have commercials running. We have a campaign with Expedia that we're currently doing. We're doing a lot with social media. TikTok, we just won an award. We won a Telly Award for for your viewers if they want to go check us out on TikTok.
Okay.
Wow. It is a rock, 16, the rock.
Yeah.
And it has like animated little eyes and then like a talking mouth. And it's for the younger crowd.
Sure.
But it's these eyes and it's just like talking, and it tells historical tidbits. Mm-hmm. But it's like deadpan, and it's just funny. So when I was showing it to my nieces who were in those teen years, they're like, "Oh, that's great." It's an interesting way to talk about Plymouth, but apparently people like it, and we won an award. So we won a Silver Telly Award.
It reminds me of the book that Diane Finn wrote about Plymouth Rock. She's a former teacher, and she has a book, and my grandkids have enjoyed it. And the story is told from the point of view of the rock. So you mentioned Sail Boston. We have some ships coming to Plymouth this summer?
We do. I need to get my dates correct, but they're coming through the canal in July. People should check out our app. Plymouth. The Sea Plymouth has an app, and it's definitely listed on our events, the exact date for when they're coming through the canal and headed to Boston. But that event is a free event in Boston. But the seaplymouth.com site has a great events page. Our person
SEE.
SEE, which is a little bit confusing.
Sure.
Sea Plymouth, it's Sea Plymouth. And we have an events page, and we have a calendar that's up to date, and that's important because a lot of times it's hard to do, but our web person, Tricia, does a great job of keeping it updated. But I just heard today over lunch that my friend was saying that her son, when they're going out to eat, they use the app, and they're just, because it's so easy to use, and it's up to date, and it has different things on it.
So now you mentioned your organization, Sea Plymouth. So tell us, what's the structure of the organization?
Well, we are a regional tourism council. I started the position in March, and Lee Filson is the former president CEO, and we are tasked with promoting Plymouth and Plymouth County. We're made up of two nonprofits, Destination Plymouth, which is with the town, and then the Plymouth County Development Council, which is all of Plymouth County, so all 27 communities within Plymouth County. And so we're out and about. I was in Scituate last week talking with some members up there, and just trying to understand how we can better promote the different areas. Hull, I was with a representative from Hull, Joan Moschino, last week as well, and just talking about the different things there are to see and do. And
It's a large area.
It's a large
I know
area.
that I once ran for county commissioner back in the 90s, but having come from a state position, for you it probably seems a little smaller, more manageable.
it's wonderful. It is. It's really great. And the people within the communities have been very welcoming, especially within the Plymouth community. The Visitor Services Board, Steve Lyden, the town manager, we're working very hard to get all the groups working together, and we work with the chamber, so the Plymouth County, Plymouth Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Waterfront District. Our building is with the PGDC, which is the Plymouth Growth and Development Corporation, and they do Park Plymouth. So our building is within them. But
The same building as Park Plymouth?
we're in the same building as Park Plymouth
Okay.
at 4 North Street,
I've been
right
there.
there in Shirley Square.
Okay.
And we are partnering with them on an initiative, transportation initiative, which is free rides on Ride Circuit, which is an electric vehicle, and we're offering those throughout the summer. And it's been a challenge to learn the acronyms. So we've got the PGDC, the PCDC, the PACC. It's a lot of acronyms, but what I've seen is, and VSB, is that people are really trying to work together, and that's where it's unusual. We have a group with the 250th coming up. We've got a great event coming up on the 27th. Well, first on Sunday we had national exposure with the National Sheriff's
And
Association.
we're taping this in June, so what Sunday was this?
Oh, this was Sunday.
This past Sunday?
Yeah, this past Sunday, 14th.
Okay.
It was Flag Day.
Yeah.
And we had the National Sheriff's Association, as part of Sojourn 250, they were taking this flag across the country in different military cemeteries and just working with the National Sheriff's Association. And they were in Plymouth on Flag Day, working with Plymouth Patuxent. They raised the flag over the Mayflower. It was great. It was a great day. It was a beautiful day. They raised the flag. It's a solemn ceremony, and it was great. So that is happening. And then, as a PSA, we're encouraging people to fly their flags from now until through the 4th. And on the 27th, we have a community gathering at Town Square at 1 o'clock on Saturday, June 27th in Plymouth. They're going to be reading the Declaration of Independence.
Nice.
Reenactors,
Yeah.
school kids, people are going to be loving the day and loving the community spirit that's there. It's a kickoff to the 4th of July events that are happening that week. And in Plymouth, they're doing a second barge of fireworks. So
Okay.
it's going to be really
It's
great.
an exciting year with the 250th.
It is.
Because
it is.
there's things happening throughout the year. We had fun with it at town meeting, and we had reenactors at town meeting reading a resolution that had been done prior to the revolution. So it was good.
Well, and as Plymouth Patuxent has coined, revolutionary ideas start here with the Mayflower Compact.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's a great tagline, because it's true. It's all true.
So what things does See Plymouth run, so to speak? Do you have any, you have a website, but what
Yes.
else?
We are the marketers and promoters, so we promote Plymouth and Plymouth County outside to our visitors from New York, Connecticut, the Northeast region. We have some international exposure to Canada, UK,
Do you have
Ireland.
brochures or?
We have brochures. We have a website. We have social media presence. We do commercials, and we work as a regional tourism council with the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism. So the Office of Travel and Tourism is tasked with promoting the entire state. There are 16 regions, and they promote their unique areas. So working with the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism, we're promoting Plymouth and Plymouth County.
And if people were to go and find these things, in addition to your North Street address, it used to be up on the highway, the Tourism Information Center. Is that carry any of your?
So we have information centers. We have one on Water Street,
Okay.
and that is very busy. We have flags from all over the world, and visitors are so excited to, to find their flag and put it up, and just really interested in learning about the history of Plymouth. And
Is that
so
the
that's
building
down
located by the Memorial Hall parking lot?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. We're actually we're working on renovating that and making it a little larger. We're hoping that will be done in the winter, and that it'll be totally revamped for next
year.
spring. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
And the one on the highway, we're still working on that. We're working with DOT. We're hoping that
Okay.
they will be amenable to.
because they used to, I think, didn't the Plymouth County Development Council used
We
to?
did.
Yeah.
We partnered with the DOT to run that visitor center, but because of funding, we were not able to provide people there. But it's something that we're working on because it definitely needs a little help. McDonald's is still there, so we're happy that they are part of
Sure.
part of there to keep it open.
Right.
Because it's the last stop before you get to the bridges, and I
Sure.
think with the bridge construction coming up, that it's going to be an even more. It's going to be a very important part of the fabric of keeping people happy.
Now you mentioned VSB, Visitor Services Board. How does that interrelate to what you do?
So we work with the Visitor Services Board to promote things in Plymouth, Plymouth-centric types of things. And we work with all the different, the downtown waterfront district with First Fridays. We have First Fridays where things are open and free and there's music and it's a lot of fun. So we work to promote Plymouth with the Visitor Services Board, and then with Plymouth County is with the Regional Tourism Council as far as the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism grant. So
And you mentioned your
it's a
board.
two-pronged approach.
You mentioned your board. You mentioned how you work cooperatively with other groups like the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. But is there anybody else in your office with you?
There are. We have five others that are in our office, and then
Okay.
we have ambassadors down at the waterfront, and we consider them absolutely part of our team. But they're working in a different building, but they're the front lines of
Sure.
meeting
Yeah.
people, answering questions. What restaurant should I go to? What how far is it from my hotel? How do I get around? Those types of things. And so there are about 20 down there. So.
Oh,
It's,
20
I mean, a
ambassadors.
couple. Well, and they're not all working full time. It's a typically older staff, and they're retired and they're working a couple hours a week. So we have a good group. And I was down there recently, and they were just listening to them talk about different things and interacting. These are professionals. They were so attentive to what the person is actually asking,
right.
and then just directing them to this is a great place for you to go, just giving them a warm and hospitable welcome, and I think that's important too.
It's very important because if you've traveled, as I do, even just locally in New England, not every visitor center is welcoming. And so I happen to have experience of traveling back and forth to New Hampshire. And as you enter Massachusetts from New Hampshire, there's a visitor center on 95. And it's a nice visitor center, but the people that are there pretty much sit and look at whatever they're doing and aren't really engaging the people coming through.
Steve, that's where I have to disagree with you. I know that visitor center well.
Okay.
And I know that Regional Tourism Council.
Okay.
And you must have just caught them on a day when they were.
Yeah, usually it's a Sunday.
It must have just been
It's
because
usually a Sunday
they have,
morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a similar type of volunteer base.
Yeah.
Where they are
Seniors.
Yeah, seniors, and they're Yeah, they're active. I mean, it could have been an off day, but whenever
been,
I've
yeah.
traveled there, and that's on a major highway, so
It
they
is,
get
right.
millions of
Oh, sure.
visitors.
Yeah.
But I'll stick up for north of Boston. I'll stick up
Okay,
for
good,
them, and
good.
you know,
Well, it sounds like here in Plymouth, there's a good group you got.
totally a good group. And you mentioned New Hampshire, and when I was at the state, it was always like a challenge because the New Hampshire rest area is really nice.
Yeah.
And we would love to see that across Massachusetts.
Right.
And I think the state is working on it. I know the state is working on it, but there are challenges. There are
Yeah.
challenges ahead, and hopefully we'll be able to.
Yeah.
To overcome
Massachusetts could do a lot better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, compare. But in any event, coming back here to Plymouth, so are there some things coming up this year that people should be thinking about?
Well, I've mentioned the Community Day on June 27th, Saturday, June 27th at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
People should be a part of that, and then they should be part of the 4th of July, the America 250, all of that's happening. There are different events from Pilgrim Hall to Patuxent to the Plymouth Center for the Arts. There are things happening all over. The Antiquarian Society. And as part of the 250th, we're developing a Liberty Trail, which is going to highlight the Revolutionary War time period. Typically, that's not in Plymouth, but we're doing a trail. And
We have a
Tom,
lot of history in the Revolutionary War time.
yeah. Mercy Otis Warren.
Warrens are right,
Yeah,
the Warrens,
yeah.
both of them.
Yep. And Tom Begley with the Plymouth
Yeah.
Patuxent has been great at heading that up, and it's a subcommittee of the 250th, and that's what's striking me is the way that people are cooperating. So we've helped out with pictures. People, Patrick Brown has been the chair of the 250th Commission, has done a fabulous
Yeah,
job.
great guy.
Did all the copy, and then Tom's folks are putting it together in the template. We're gonna help with marketing it. So that's the way it should be. That's the way you get a strong community, and that's what I think people want to see, as far as the friendliness, the hospitality. I think that there's really good opportunity to grow here in Plymouth.
And tourism has always been a major force in our community. I was chairing the chamber back many decades ago, and I remember we had a tourism committee, and there was like the #1 industry at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that, again, coming back to COVID, it like was just like, wow, what? But we can't not have tourism.
Right.
We can't not have great life experiences. This is where memories are made. We can't have that. I mean, we're economic development. We are very important, and I think that came across with as far as the funding that was infused into the industry and the recovery that we've seen.
Yeah, so important. So people that may not have joined us in the beginning, now if they're tuning in, what would be the one takeaway you'd want them to know about Sea Plymouth?
Well, if they're just tuning in just now, they should rewind. They should go back. They should watch it again and see
Okay.
the first part
Yeah.
of this amazing time that we've had together. Sea Plymouth is here to promote all the wonderful things in Plymouth and Plymouth County. And there are so many things to see and do. History is just the beginning, and we're asking people, where does yours start? Where does your journey begin?
If people want to contact you further, how would they do that?
Well, they can contact us at seaplymouth.com. There's a contact page, and they're happy to have conversations with people that have ideas. We had someone who came in yesterday, and she's a retired teacher. She has this idea to do tours in Plymouth, and so she's just having a casual conversation about what the landscape is like, and we're happy to do that because I think that's great. She's retired. She's interested in giving back to the community, and I see that as part of my role as well is giving back to the community, because as we are bringing tourists in, we're helping relieve that pressure on our taxpayers, and we're bringing other people's money into Plymouth and Plymouth County. So I'm very interested in just continuing to promote that so that we're strong.
At the outset, you kind of gave us a hint, but when you're not doing See Plymouth, what do you like to do in your spare time?
I'm granding.
Right.
What is granding? Wow. Granding is playing with my 3 grandkids. They are 5, 3, and almost 1, and it is a joy. And I know it's going to go by in a blink from having talked to other grandparents, but it's a joy. I love gardening, granding and gardening.
I'm at the same place with you. My oldest is 6, 4 of them going down to 2 years old, so it's a wonderful experience.
It is.
Keiko, Orrall, thank you so much for being here
Absolutely.
today and for telling us about See Plymouth.
Absolutely.
And this completes this presentation of Plymouth Profiles. I'd like to thank the support from Local Scene here in the studio with Melissa Matinzi, also with in the room, the control room with Tom Bolus, and also Emily today is overseeing the technical support. And please join us for future presentations. If you have a suggestion or someone you'd like us to interview, you can contact me at 508-746-1464 or fst@plymouthlaw.com. And I'm Steve Triffletti. Welcome and good day.